Charles Coody's missed short putts. Charles Coody won the Masters in 1971, but his defense the next year produced one of Augusta's more awkward sequences. In the opening round of the 1972 Masters, he reached the 14th green with a chance to steady his scorecard. What followed was a putting display that stunned the gallery. From just a few feet away, Coody missed not one, but 3 short putts in a row. By the time the ball finally dropped, he had 4-putted from close range. The mistake sent his score spiraling, and with the Master spotlight on him as the defending champion, it was replayed over and over. Unlike a missed fairway or a risky shot into water, this was the kind of error golfers at every level fear, messing up the simplest strokes under pressure. Coody's blunder didn't carry the same championship-altering weight as Norman in 1996 or Spieth in 2016, but it remains part of Masters lore because of its sheer relatability. The defending champion, standing over short putts, watched the crowd's silence grow heavier with every miss. It showed how even the smallest mistakes at Augusta can echo far louder than they would anywhere else. Roberto de Vicenzo's scorecard mistake, one of the most infamous Masters mistakes, didn't even come with a golf swing. In 1968, Roberto de Vicenzo finished the final round tied with Bob Golby, which should have sent them into a playoff for the green jacket, but golf has one of the strictest rules in professional sports. Players are responsible for checking their own scorecards before signing. De Vicenzo's playing partner, Tommy Aaron, had written down a 4 on the 17th hole instead of the 3 that Roberto actually scored. De Vicenzo didn't catch the error when he signed, and under the rules, the higher score had to stand. That meant his official total was 1 shot worse than it really was, handing the Masters title to Golby. What makes the moment sting is how avoidable it was. De Vicenzo had played brilliantly and put himself in position to win one of golf's most prestigious tournaments. But because of a clerical error, his chance vanished without ever hitting another shot. His reaction was dignified but heartbreaking. He called it the stupidest man alive moment. To this day, it's one of the clearest reminders that the Masters doesn't only test a player's swing. It also demands focus on every detail, even off the course. One missed number on a scorecard was enough to cost De Vicenzo a green jacket forever. Scott Hoch's missed putt. In 1989, the Masters came down to one of the shortest putts imaginable. Scott Hoch stood over a 2-foot putt on the first playoff hole against Nick Faldo. If he made it, he would have won the Masters. 2 feet, that's shorter than the length of a standard golf club, but under the pressure of Augusta, even the simplest shot can turn into a mountain. Hoch pulled the putt just enough for it to slide past the cup. The crowd gasped, and suddenly the door was wide open for Faldo. On the very next hole, Faldo birdied to win his first Masters, while Hoch walked off carrying a reputation he never shook, the man who missed one of the shortest putts in major history. What made the moment so brutal was how rare it is. PGA Tour statistics show that pros make more than 99% of putts inside 3 feet. It's considered automatic. But at Augusta, with the green jacket on the line, even a 2-footer can become the most difficult stroke of a player's career. For Scott Hoch, the missed putt defined his time at the Masters. For Faldo, it launched a run of 3 green jackets. 1 slip, 1 short miss, and the history of the tournament changed forever. If you're loving this video, subscribe now and help us hit 5,000 golf fans by month's end. Greg Norman's collapse. Greg Norman's 1996 Masters collapse is one of the most famous meltdowns in golf. He started the final round with a 6-shot lead over Nick Faldo. At Augusta, that kind of cushion usually means you're coasting to a green jacket, but from the opening holes, Norman's swing looked off. He bogeyed early, then started missing fairways, and the pressure snowballed. Faldo, meanwhile, played steady, almost clinical golf. By the back 9, Norman's lead had evaporated. The defining moment came at the 12th hole, where Norman found the water, taking a double bogey. By the time they reached 18, the collapse was complete. Faldo had surged ahead to win by 5 shots, while Norman carded a final round 78. What makes it so memorable is how dramatic the swing was. A 6-shot lead is the largest ever lost in Masters history. Norman had come close before, finishing runner-up multiple times, But 1996 was supposed to be his crowning moment. Instead, it became a cautionary tale about pressure and momentum at Augusta. For golf fans, it's still one of the clearest examples of how quickly things can unravel, even for the best in the world. One bad shot leads to another, and before long, a green jacket slips away. Rory McIlroy's collapse. In 2011, Rory McIlroy was just 21 years old and looked ready to claim his first major at Augusta. Through 3 rounds, he led the Masters and carried a 4-shot advantage into Sunday. For most of the front 9, he held it together, though his swing showed signs of tension. Then came the back 9, and that's where it all unraveled. On the 10th hole, McIlroy hit a wild drive left that ended up near the cabins, a part of Augusta most fans had never even seen on television. He made a triple bogey there, and the damage only escalated. At the 11th, he dropped another shot, and on the short par 3 12th, he found the water for a double bogey. By the time he limped up the 18th hole, the leaderboard had long passed him by. He shot 80 on the day and finished tied for 15th. The collapse was brutal to watch, but it also became a key moment in McIlroy's career. Just 2 months later, he came back to win the U.S. Open in dominant fashion, proving he could learn from Augusta's sting. Still, for Masters history, that Sunday remains one of the most vivid examples of how the back 9 can break a player. Jordan Spieth's quadruple bogey on 12. Jordan Spieth walked to the 12th tee at Augusta in 2016 with a 5-shot lead and just 9 holes left to play. It looked like he was about to win back-to-back Masters titles. Then, in the span of a few swings, everything collapsed. His tee shot found Rays Creek, the short but deadly water in front of the green. After taking a drop, he hit another ball into the water. The next shot flew into the bunker behind the green. By the time he finally tapped in, he had recorded a quadruple bogey 7. The entire sequence unfolded in front of a stunned gallery, and the broadcast captured Spieth's body language shifting from calm confidence to shock. In one hole, his commanding lead was gone. Danny Willett, playing a group ahead, suddenly had the door wide open, and he went on to win his only major. For Spieth, the 12th at Augusta became a personal nightmare. Even years later, interviews about that Masters returned to those few minutes at Amen Corner. It showed how unforgiving the Masters can be. A single misstep on the smallest par 3 on the course was enough to derail a champion who seemed in total control. Tommy Nakajima's on the 13th hole. The 13th at Augusta National is called Azalea, and it's famous for its beauty and its risk-reward setup. In 1978, Tommy Nakajima turned that risk into one of the most painful collapses in Masters history. Standing on the tee, he was still in contention and playing solid golf. But what happened over the next half hour gave birth to a nickname that followed him for the rest of his career. Nakajima's second shot found Rays Creek in front of the green. That's not unusual at Augusta. Plenty of players have come up short there. The real trouble started when he tried to recover. Instead of taking a safe drop, he attempted a bold shot from the bank. The ball rolled back into the water. He tried again, and again it found the creek. By the time he finally reached the putting surface, the damage was irreversible. He carded a 13 on the par 5, the highest single-hole score in Masters history at that time. The disaster was so notorious that the press nicknamed him the Human Windsock, a cruel reminder of how quickly momentum can change at Augusta. Nakajima had been a rising player from Japan, and while he went on to a respectable career, that moment defined his Masters legacy. The 13th hole has always tempted players with the promise of an eagle chance, but Nakajima's meltdown showed the brutal cost when risk outweighs reward. It's a story that still gets told whenever the conversation turns to Augusta's most unforgettable blow-ups. Ernie Els, six-putt nightmare. Ernie Els is one of the most respected golfers of his generation. A 4-time major champion, known as the Big Easy for his smooth swing and calm demeanor, he had built a career on consistency. But when the 2016 Masters began, his opening hole turned into a scene that golfers at every level could relate to, and fear. On the first green, Els faced a short putt for par. What should have been routine quickly unraveled. He missed the putt, then missed again from close range. The more he tried to steady himself, the more the hole seemed to shrink. By the time the ball finally dropped, he had taken 6 putts from inside 3 feet, walking away with a disastrous 9 on a par 4. The clip spread instantly across broadcasts and social media. For a player of his stature, it was shocking. Els later admitted he felt embarrassed and couldn't explain what had happened, calling it one of the most painful experiences of his career. Psychologists and golf analysts pointed to the putting yips, a condition where nerves or mental pressure disrupt even the simplest stroke. What made the moment so memorable wasn't just the number, but the humanity of it. Fans who had followed Els for decades saw that even a champion could crumble in a way that looked familiar to weekend golfers. At Augusta, where the greens are some of the fastest and most intimidating in the world, the course exposed a vulnerability that no amount of trophies could erase. Ed Sneed's collapse. The 1979 Masters looked set to crown Ed Sneed as champion. Heading into the final stretch, he held a 3-shot lead with only 3 holes left to play. At Augusta, that margin should have been enough. Steady pars would have secured him the green jacket, but golf rarely follows a script. On the 16th hole, Sneed bogeyed after missing a routine putt. At the 17th, another bogey followed when his approach drifted into trouble. By the time he reached the 18th, the pressure had mounted. He needed a par to win outright, but nerves showed again, and yet another bogey forced him into a playoff. In sudden death, Sneed couldn't recover. Fuzzy Zoeller went on to claim the title, leaving Sneed with one of the most heartbreaking finishes in Masters history. To lose a lead that late turned his near victory into a cautionary tale about the pressure Augusta applies. The collapse is still discussed decades later because it illustrates how quickly the Masters can flip. A player can look unbeatable one moment and be reeling the next. For Sneed, it was a career-defining heartbreak. He never won a major, and the 1979 Masters remained the closest he ever came. If you're loving this video, you can hit the super thanks button and support our channel. Tiger Woods' slip-up. Tiger Woods is known for highlight reel shots at Augusta, chip-ins, clutch putts, and moments that shaped his legendary career. But in 2006, even he had a moment that showed how Augusta can humble anyone. During the final round on the par 15th hole, Tiger faced a straightforward chip from the fringe. For him, it was usually routine, something he'd converted countless times before. Instead, the ball came off awkwardly, skidding low and failing to check up near the hole. It wasn't a disastrous score, but for Tiger, the miss was noticeable. Cameras caught his frustration, and the clip became one of those rare instances where the best player in the world looked out of rhythm on a simple shot. That moment stands out because it broke the illusion of perfection. Even Tiger, in the middle of a dominant era, showed how Augusta's greens and pressure can trip up the very best. It wasn't career-altering like some of the other collapses on this list, but it was a reminder that at the Masters, no one is immune to awkward mistakes. The Masters is known for its beauty and its history, but it's also where pressure exposes players in ways that stick forever. From short missed putts to late round collapses, these moments show that even the best in the world can look vulnerable when the green jacket is on the line. Thanks for watching all the way here. You can continue watching our next video here.